1. The reign of death, the silence behind all voices. In these chapters, death no longer appears as a distant fate or accidental ending, but as a permanent ruler that accompanies every step of life. Everything humans create, houses, laws, arts, empires, stands in the shadow of this unavoidable end. Death is the invisible director who sets the rhythm, even when we believe life is free and unbound. Every joy is permeated by its proximity. Every decision carries an intuition of the end. What is terrible is not only that death inevitably comes, but that it structures life from the very beginning. Even the newborn already bears the invisible signature of decay. Every second of life is a movement toward collapse. Every cell is a countdown. Life thus appears not as a gift, but as a process of slow disappearance. Humans celebrate birthdays, yet in truth, they celebrate their advancing approach toward their own abyss. Religions, philosophies, and ideologies have tried to banish this ruler, with promises of immortality, hopes of rebirth, illusions of an immortal soul. But all these promises are veils that only temporarily cover the face of death. In the end, silence remains, a silence that offers no answer. And herein lies death's true power. It does not speak, yet it drowns out every voice. 2. The business of hope. Promises as chains. Because death overshadows life, an entire industry of hope emerges, presenting itself as salvation while forging new restraints. Priests, politicians, healers, philosophers, all offer stories meant to make the darkness more bearable. They sell hope for better days, for an afterlife, for healing, for progress. Yet behind this hope lies a perverse transaction. The human being gives up freedom, thinking, truth, and receives in return a promise that is never fulfilled. Hope works like a sedative. It allows the present to be endured by covering it with an imaginary tomorrow. But that tomorrow never arrives. Each new day reveals itself as merely a variation of yesterday, and tomorrow always remains one step away. Hope is therefore not a bridge, but an endless postponement. The human being does not truly live. He waits. And while he waits, his years pass until he realizes he has missed life itself. The tragedy is that people are even grateful for this deception. Without hope, they would despair. Yet with hope, they live in another form of despair, illusion. Hope thus becomes a double prison. It eases fear, but simultaneously steals the capacity to face reality directly. Hope is the sweetest form of servitude. 3. The tyranny of memory, the past as chain. Another central theme of these pages is memory. It appears to be a treasure, a storehouse of experience from which we can learn. But the deeper one looks, the clearer it becomes. Memory is not a gift, but a shackle. We do not live only in the present. We live in an endless rearview mirror, where every action is shaped by what has already happened. We repeat patterns because memory ingrains them. We suffer again because memory reopens old wounds. We hope because we cling to past joys. Memory tyrannizes because it poisons the now. Hardly is a moment lived before it becomes past. And we exist in the endless repetition of something already dead. Memory is like a corpse we carry everywhere. It stinks, it weighs heavy, and yet we cannot let it go. And even forgetting is not liberation, but merely another form of captivity. The fear of losing memory is just as crushing as memory's burden itself. Thus the past becomes an invisible chain ruling the present. No one lives in the now. They live in the extension of a yesterday that has long since decayed. The real drama. Memory is not even reliable. It invents, distorts, twists. We are prisoners of a mirror that shows false images, yet we organize our lives around them. 4. The body as cage, the biology of suffering. These chapters also make clear that the human prison is not only made of social masks or psychodeceptions, but is written directly into our flesh. The body, praised as our home, is in truth a cage of hunger, pain, illness, and decay. Every sensation is double-edged. Pleasure turns into addiction, nourishment into dependency, touch into possession. What we celebrate as a source of joy is simultaneously an entry point for suffering. Biology is not a neutral foundation, but a merciless program. Every cell is destined to die, every organ to fail, every system to collapse. The body pretends vitality, yet it is a clockwork of decay. Even moments of happiness are merely brief spikes within the greater rhythm of entropy. And in the end, there is no escape. The body does not bring us into life. It brings us into death. This becomes even more cruel when one realizes that the body itself is the prison of consciousness. Thoughts, dreams, visions, all are limited by chemical processes, synapses, hormones. What we call I is merely the rattling of a machine that already carries its own dissolution within it. The body is not a temple, it is a dungeon, and the soul, if it exists, sits like a prisoner behind its damp walls. Amasher 5, the final mirror. The revelation of nothingness. Everything ultimately culminates in a final, brutal revelation. Behind all deceptions, hopes, memories, and bodily forms, nothing else awaits but nothingness. No heaven, no revelation, no eternal truth. Only an infinite emptiness that cannot even be called enemy or friend. Nothingness is not the end, but the fundamental condition of being. Everything that exists is merely a brief flare within the ocean of this abyss. Yet precisely in this realization lies a paradoxical form of clarity. For whoever dares to look into nothingness sees the entire farce of life. He recognizes that there is no judge, no reward, no punishment, only the naked fact of existence, which carries no reason within itself. This insight can paralyze, it can destroy, it can give birth to madness, but it can also liberate, for whoever expects nothing anymore is finally free from all illusions. The final chapter of this section does not describe this state as consolation, but as radical sobriety. There is no escape except acknowledging the abyss. Everything else is deception. Everything else merely a mask. Whoever has the courage to endure the mirror of nothingness has not redeemed life, but has seen through it. And perhaps this is the only form of dignity that remains to us.